Okay, so welcome back to our next in the series of katas. So we'll be doing Jion. Same thing again. Please bear in mind, this is how I've been taught. There will be differences, and if your instructor doesn't like you doing this version, then please adhere to what they request from you. It's just out of pure courtesy and respect for your instructors. Okay, so today we'll be having Sensei and Cash. So welcome to Cash. Yeah. So, hey, shh. Jion. Hey! So the first part that we will be going through is 1, 2, 3. There are several ways to practice this. This will be the first version, then we'll do something else. When I've seen people do Jion, I see quite a few people going back instead of dropping. It's quite obvious when you actually see the effect on the uke. So first of all, we'll do the Gakuzuki Jodan. Can you see the stumble? Okay, now fighting stance, and this time I'm going to drop and he's going to do maigeri. So again, because I'm going down and my knees dropping forward, I'll put the energy forward, and therefore Sensei Keri has to move back. Yeah, so if I do it once more, I'll move this hand away. So as, yeah, but here. Then you've got this slight irimi, and the kazushi while he's actually doing the maigeri. So once more, if he does the gakuzuki, first we go forward. And then if it's the maigeri, we just drop down. So just remember when you start the kata, try and drop, not go back. Whoosh. So on the next move, yeah, this is the lead arm. One, and then the left hand comes in front of. Yeah, so we need to stance. When the gakuzuki comes in, I'll do it slowly. This is the lead one. Then the next one. Then continue. So it's not just across, but look for the leading hand and the support one. Hush. Okay, next portion. So it is two different types of Jodan-uki. First one is cutting, sonobade, to deflect. Next one should be done at the same time as you step in to do the attack. So if we do it slowly, yeah. First of all, sonobade. Then not here, but up, to hold it up, so as you can't bring the arm down. So once more. Please don't do this. One. Okay, it's too late. Hip. Again. So this. Up. Then. Through. So next portion. We are here. So it is 1, 2, 3, 4. So first of all, nagash, down and naname. Then again, cover, down and naname. Okay, so next portion of the kata. So 1, 2. Don't only think Ginan Barai. Yeah, but sink into the person. And then Taisho. So if you can demonstrate. Yeah. Cover. Down. Naname. Knee through. Then Taisho. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Okay, when you're doing Taisho, there's a couple of ways of doing it. One, when it's straight. Straight. So if we get cash, just fighting stance. Change stance. So, this is fine when it's here, straight. When they are on the other stance, it's difficult to go straight. You have to either move their arm, move it this way, but you can use a different type, where it comes round and over. Similar to like a moshigiri. Right? So, it's actually what's called hyperbolic round. It's like having a cotton reel and you pull the thread out. But if the cotton reel is turning, it actually goes in a slight curve. It's similar to how they shoot for the moon. They get a curve. It's not straight. Yeah. So as you're turning, you're releasing this, but you turning comes round. It's worth trying. Yeah. Straight is good. If they're on the other side, if I do it slow, this starts going, but I'm turning. Gosh. Next portion. From last Taisho. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so Judo-uki. I'm not really a big fan of using two arms for an uki. So If you want to use either one as a punch, yeah, then back, then through. And we'll be demonstrating this one in a minute. Yeah, this one a few years ago, Otsuka III, he was over here at Guildford at the winter course, and he did a very, very good explanation for this using your chest to go through. So I'll demonstrate that in a minute. Not as good as Sensei did, but I'll try. So one, pull back, through, up again. But this doesn't stop here. As you come up, it should be Yurakan. Then this one comes down using this ridge down onto the forearm. See if you can get some of the actual nerves. I know after this last combination, Kerry went off rubbing his arm. Sorry, Kerry. So one, and then the Yurakan. So we'll try and demonstrate those. Yeah! Okay, yeah, so one, shoulders rounded, now open, not just your arms, but your chest. Yeah, so again, it's basically get two of your students or 2 grades, yeah, through. Get through, yeah, rounded, then twist and chest and elbows in like Seishan, through. But make sure you are taking your chest through as you expand. So again, so through, rounded, not just your arms, but your chest. Your chest going through as you open up, and your front knee, bend to take your body forward and through. So next portion of the kata. So we've done the Yurakan, yeah, and we are so everybody sees the Gaiwan Jodan, but a lot of people don't see the Naiwan, Gaiwan, and the punch. So try and use this one first. So it's Naiwan, Gaiwan. Yeah, Naiwan, Gaiwan. Okay, so next portion is we've already done here. A lot of people will do this. It means you're going that way. So try and absorb. Try and absorb the punch. Yeah, so as you're going back to do the Naiwan. Sorry, Gaiwan again. So keep the heel down to do the Gaiwan. Okay, so we've got 2 here. 1 and 2, 3. Next one, not just Naiwanuk. Naiwanuk, but opposite hip movement. Top and bottom. And don't forget wrist. So if I've come across Gidan Barai fighting stance, I'll go forward and hip. So the hip comes the opposite way. Yeah, and we can practice going, so if you step back as well and punch, and I put the hip in the opposite direction. This is very good for when you are sparring, so if you're fighting stance and you push Gakuzuki Jodan. So hip the other way, which throws the Gakuzuki in. Yeah? So hip, opposite way, hip, opposite way, hip, opposite way. When you're practicing, let the Gakuzuki go in. Wesh. Okay, so last portion. People seem to get the wrong arm coming inside or the wrong arm going outside. So, way to think about it is to think about getting a position for stoke. So, you come across, fighting stance, lunge, shoot, and strike. If you want to, you can move it in to try it, like pin and stand. So again, make sure this one comes up. Think about shito, but you do tetsui. Now the same one, this one comes up like shito. This one, and strike. And don't forget the kioi on the last one. Some styles actually shout Jion when they finish, but just a kioi in Wado. Then back. Hi.
Welcome to this section of the Jion Kata. As we normally do, we'll have a look at the history of the kata. We'll meet some old friends again who we've met in various other katas, and we'll look at its history and the misapprehension or the misconception about the name and the naming. We'll try and delve a little bit into that. This is the 14th of the 15 katas that we're likely to do. So what we'll do with this and the next one is we'll recap all the previous key points. In case you've missed previous videos, we'll cover them again, and what we'll do, if we reference a particular video that we've done a section in before, we'll put a link in the description box below the video so you can go and have a look at that and see the full context. So Jion, it's generally sort of regarded as one of the three temple katas, Jion, Jitai and Jiin. In Wado, Otsuka Sensei dropped Jiin, so there's only Jion and Jitai that's performed. They're referred to as the temple katas. It seems in the past, Jion or Jion-ji was the name that was referred to Buddhist temples or Buddhist monks. So I think the idea that it came from southern China, from the southern Chinese Kung Fu temples, has stuck. So they're referred to as the temple katas. But the kanji of Jion, if you put it into a translation engine, it comes back as something like love and goodness or mercy and kindness. So the tenuous sort of link to the temple is pretty much that. It's tenuous, but they have become known as the three temple katas. Maybe that the love and goodness and kindness and compassion were the hallmarks of the Buddhists in the temples, so that has also fed into the naming system. In Japanese, there's three language systems. There's kanji, which is what everybody associates with Japanese language. There's hiragana and katakana. And during the research, it seems that in the early 20s, when karate was first coming to Japan, both Kenwa Mabuni, who created Chitaru, and Gichin Funakoshi, who created Shotokan, they wrote the name Jion in katakana. Now, katakana is generally used in Japanese for words that are borrowed from other languages. And it's phonetic. So it's a word that a Japanese person doesn't know because it's not from their language. It tells them how to pronounce it, but it doesn't explain what it is. So in their early writings in the 20s, it was always written in katakana. So they were basically saying the sound of the word. There was no interpretation associated with it. As we're going into the 1930s, their writings change and it now becomes kanji, and the kanji of love, mercy, compassion, that interpretation. And it seems that during the 30s, the Japanese were gearing up for World War II, and the first attack was against China, and this was part of possibly a propaganda system to start demonising the Chinese and belittling the Chinese. So there was that change from it being a foreign word to more sort of Japanese in origin. Possibly the same reason why Funakoshi renamed Naihanchi as Teki, etc., etc. It was getting away from its Okinawan come Chinese roots. It seems the general opinion is it came from southern China via so-called Matsumura of Shinto, Basai, Koshanku fame. And at some stage, again, this history is lost, but Itosu is involved, and there's some sort of debate about what level of adaptation Itosu made. I found one source that was very well written and quite well referenced that suggested that Itosu actually created Jion, and it was an amalgamation of Jiin and Jitai. And this source was saying that Jiin and Jitai were weapons katas. Itosu took the weapons techniques and adapted them into karate techniques, open empty hand techniques, and created Jion. Whether that's true or not, but it was a well-written, well-referenced source that claims this. So again, we can see this Matsumura, China, Okinawa, Itosu, Funakoshi, Mabuni, into Japan, and eventually into Wado. Part of this claim that it was created by Itosu, one of the references they made was it doesn't appear, Jion doesn't appear in any of the classic Okinawan kata series. I tried to reference this and I couldn't find any reference in the Okinawan katas to Jitai or Jin anyway. So I can't sort of verify any of that is true. But again, it seems like all the katas we've covered previously, southern China, Okinawa, and into Japan. So, reviewing previous key points. Kenwa Mabuni, a big influence on Wado Karate. Asuka, the first introduction to karate was with Gichin Funakoshi, who founded Shotokan. And Asuka Sensei was one of the first people to receive a black belt in karate from Funakoshi in around 1924. Eventually they had a split, and it's always been sort of stated that it split because Asuka said you had to spar, whereas Funakoshi's belief was you learnt from kata and bunkai. And that's understandable. With jiu-jitsu, it's very hands-on grappling. You can't practice on your own, whereas with kata, you can sort of solo practice. So Asuka then sought out Kenwa Mabuni, an encyclopedic knowledge of kata, huge numbers of kata, and a highly respected martial artist. And Mabuni was also of the opinion you should spar. And him and his students used to wear baseball armour, padded chest plates, shin plates, arms, face masks, and they used to spar. And even with that, they used to spar so hard, they had to stop because they were hurting each other, even wearing the body armour. But you can see why Asuka was drawn to Mabuni. But Asuka also learns a lot of the katas in the Wado syllabus from Mabuni. So Mabuni has had a huge influence on Wado, and Mabuni's teachings have had a large influence on this section we do with the kata. So one of Mabuni's writings where he said people misunderstand the directions in katas. They assume if it does this, the attack is coming from the front and you respond from the front. But Mabuni's argument was it tells you the direction you need to be to deal with the attacker. So if we look at how Mabuni would have dealt with this, so if you step in, Mabuni's argument, as the punch comes in, we turn. We're not dealing with him head on, we're moving out the way, tai sabaki. cover, strike into the liver. Now this then sets up for the next portion of the kata, where we do this. Because from here, we can take hold of him, unbalance him, either kick him in that leg, hizugari, step through, take him down, double punch, and out. So by applying Mabuni's ideas, it changes the kata completely. We're out of danger because we changed our direction, and it makes that section going at 45 degrees much easier. You can come in with knees, kicks, takedowns, all sorts of techniques. So something to think about. Block. Unusual, you have a double attack. But if you think of one hand or the other as being a strike rather than a double block, so if he steps in and punches Jodan, block, strike. Rather than think there was a Gambarai, we can strike. If he comes in with a Gidan attack, block, strike. So you can see, just thinking a little bit differently, rather than a double block, block strike, or block strike. Change your angle, makes things very different. And as well as Mabuni's teaching on angles, his other idea was that if a punch is shown, in the kata it might be a Chudan Gakuzuki, but in a practical application that may not be available. So Mabuni said that it's any punch that will work. So, you know, if he's well covered up and I can't get a Chudan punch in, I can go Jodan. There's no point in me trying to punch him in the elbow when I can hit him in the head. So the kata's a blueprint, and he says, do a punch. But it's any punch you can make fit. Same with kicks. In the kata to Mayagari. But if you're in this position and I can't get the Mayagari in, I can use a hizugari. So it's adapting the kata to the real world situation in front of you, and you're not straying from the kata doing hizugari because the hizugari is half a Mayagari. It's still a kick. So if you're doing partner work, and especially if you're trying to make it realistic, do what's available in front of you. Don't try and force a bad technique when you can find a good technique. So revision key points number 2. I think it was the one shoe video we discussed my 2 words, ma and I. Ma is the distance and timing. I is to harmonise and blend. And if you can sort of apply that to your techniques, then you'll find it a lot better. You'll be able to understand, move and set yourself up where you need to be for your techniques to be available. So if I can borrow Sensei Cash. So in the demonstration we did a little bit earlier, this isn't the correct distance. This isn't the correct distance. This is the correct distance. I'm covered, I can strike. I've blended with him. I'm not out here, I'm not in here. If I'm too far away, I'm sort of reaching and clutching. So try and make your distances as convenient as you can for your next move. If you find you're having to reach or your punches aren't quite there, you're not performing Mai correctly. Your distance and timing and your harmonisation. And as we mentioned in the previous video, when you're doing partner work, you'll see that the junior grades and they'll be punching here. Until they've developed distance and control, that's probably a good thing. But you know, as you got through the grades, you need to have technique left, penetration through the technique. So part of what you need to be looking for as part of your progress is the ability to hit the point, gi contact with power, with any internals you might be using, but not injuring your opponents. And that's when you really start to get into and understand Mai. So the next recap is the concept of one technique, 1,000 applications. So we see this in the kata. So we'll have a look now at making this shape, but doing it in very, very different techniques. So classic one, we've got two opponents, we need to create a bit of space, we get rid of him, then we can deal with the other guy. Come in as a barge, get your weight behind it, boom. Maybe even throw the Namazuki underneath. But we can also make the same shape and get arm locks. Arm locks. Same thing. Yep. So you've changed from a barge technique to an arm lock technique. In practical karate, drags, where you manipulate your opponent to the position you want them in. So we can do it as an arm drag. We get him here, we can drag him in. We come on the inside, we can drag him in. So we can use it as a drag to position him where you want him next. Then once you've positioned him with your drag, you can use it as a control. So it's the same position. I've just got him by the bicep. You can get hold of the meat if you like. If I come on the inside as a drag, I can do the same here. The same. So now, control, strike. So one technique, 1,000 applications. So as you're practicing your bunkai, find these techniques, go and have a think, what can I get from this? And this was Funakoshi's argument. With the kata, you learn the perfect posture, tenshi, heaven and earth, using your internals, everything else. But then you take that, even if I've got him here, I'm still thinking tenshi. So I'm taking my kata, but I'm putting him in a lock. So this was Funakoshi's argument. Learn your perfect technique in your kata, then take it and apply it into real-world practical applications. So, revision key point number 4, transferable skills. Something you've learned in one kata, it isn't just for that kata. It's a skill you've learned and you can apply it in other situations, other katas. So we covered in Naihanshi, Koshanku, this position. In Naihanshi, we covered this position. In Jion, we get this position. So from Naihanshi, we described it as control. Yeah? I've got him. He's under control. Again from Naihanshi, neck crank. I've got him. Yep. Same with Jion. If he's coming in, trying to swamp me, back of the neck, boom. If I need to, grab him by the windpipe, control him. Then I can go to Naihanshi, take him down. So a skill we've learned in Naihanshi, Koshanku, we can take into this one. So these hand positions, in one show we describe them as mudras, which are esoteric. It could be the intention is the flow of energy around the body, or it could be something as simple as grabbing him by the back of the neck and hitting him, taking him down. So we went from Jion to Naihanshi, took him down. So we transferred a skill from one kata to another. So don't think of your katas as individual items. And the fifth revisional key point is Tagumi. Tagumi is the indigenous wrestling system of Okinawa. And I get the feeling that the original karate had a lot of Tagumi. It's got lost. I think karate became very fixated on competition, bouncing up and down, backwards, forwards, one punch, one kill, and a lot of the wrestling and throws were taken out. So back to this position, one technique, 1,000 applications. If you're looking at it from a Tagumi point of view, like I said, we've mentioned, we've got him here. I can wrestle him, put in strikes, but it's also almost exactly the same as the seatbelt grip for a Nagoshi throw. Got him here, load him up on the hip, over we go. So don't dismiss these as just being punching and striking techniques. There's also wrestling techniques in here. If you reach underneath, take him over. Take him over. So wrestling techniques are also hidden in your katas if you think about them a little differently. So don't just think block punch. Have a look, see what else you can find within your kata.
Nice. So hope you enjoyed today's session. Can I stress that these are just kai sets, they're not sacrosanct. You need to look at them and make the kata your own. And that's the main thing, make the kata your own. So these are just suggestions. So please bear that in mind when you are practicing. What have I learned through it? I think basically you need to do Jite and Jion together. They work together. What one lacks, the other gives. What the other one lacks, the other one gives. And it's the same when you do similarity. It's when you can't do Seishan without understanding Naihanchi. They work together as a pair. You can't just practice one, you need both of them. And the same with this. So one supports the other. That's what I've taken away from this. So, yeah, I'd like to thank Cash for joining us, and Sensei Kerry, and obviously Simon and Tanya for doing the filming, and most probably a lot of hours doing the editing later on. So, Aish, thank you.